So Hugo, we are in the Musée d'Art et d'Histoire de Genève. So what was the principle of the show?
So when I visited 18 months ago, after the invitation of Marc Olivier, the director of Le MAM, he invited me for a carte blanche. I visited the building the first time, 18 months ago, and the carte blanche quest was to bring in the collection and merging it with my work. And here, that's the beginning. As we are standing in the entrance, we have a sun sculpture surrounded by 4 sculptures by Angst, who represents the 4 seasons. The exhibition title is When the Sun Goes Down and the Moon Comes Up. So that's the ouverture as we enter with the sun. Then we have a symmetrical building, which is important, and I use that symmetry to highlight 2 artists of their collection, Hodler and Vallotton, 2 Swiss giants.
Hodler is extraordinary.
And Vallotton as well.
As you will discover. Another story,
as you will discover. So people are free to go either to the right, then you will encounter the work of Hodler merging with my work, or to the left to Vallotton. On the right you have commissioned paintings by Hodler, the warriors. They were among his first commissioned work and were displayed in different public buildings at that time. And on the other side you have the nudes of Vallotton, which made him famous through a Swiss collector couple called the Hannenloser, who would have on some point 75 of those nudes.
So what side do you choose this time?
Let's go to the right side.
Okay.
I chose last time the left side. And we see the warriors.
What's your feeling about the collection of this museum? Because it's not only an art museum, right?
It's a general museum, meaning, like, of course, in smaller scale, it's like a metropolitan. It's a general museum. So you have antiquity and appliance art and art. So archaeology.
You know, we met first at Palais Tokyo when you were curator of a super good exhibition about contemporary art.
It was the Third Mind in 2007.
It was fantastic.
Thank you.
So you like it?
So here it's the first time that has been grouped together all the warriors of Hodler.
Ah, what a good idea.
And
what do you think about Hodler?
Hodler, so what is interesting on this pairing or in this parallelism between Hodler and Vallotton is the fact they are both contemporaries. Hodler was at the end of symbolism movement, while Vallotton was at the beginning of modernism. And this duality makes and frames this exhibition. So where Hodler is a look at the past, Vallotton is a look into the future.
Ah. And you are yourself a collector, I remember.
Unfortunately, I don't have any Hodlers. I would love to have. But as you can see, this is made to be visit on both sides. If you come from here, you will have the back of those with all the preparatory doors.
So you make like painting looking like sculpture?
Yes. I mean...
Like Alex Katz now at Guggenheim.
Maybe he must have seen this show. It's not something that has not been done before. Paintings in space, it's a frequent measurement.
But what was your aim general?
Here is the space. If I would have them just here, I would have to set up something into the space, which we will see later. I mean, the different rooms have a certain rhythm where it closes, opens. It's like a breathing building. So each room has its own individuality, and that's how it has been organized.
And what is your personal relation to this museum? What's your feeling about it? Do you think it's fabulous, or do you think it's special? What's your feeling?
I mean, it's the oldest museum in Switzerland. So it has a charged history, and The standout is that it has been planned as a symmetry, and that made this exhibition. It gave me a guideline how to organize it between the duality of Vallotton and Hodler, or the moon and the sun. So the next room, as you can see, all the windows have a slight tinted color.
Yes.
Here it's red. We're gonna go into the next room, which
Wow.
is a fictional apartment in Garçonnier of Hodler, as if he would have lived here.
You imagine that?
I imagined that together with Frédéric Chardin, an architect from Geneva.
Yes.
And the aim was to bring in the collection, and this is an easy way to present every aspect of the collection by making an apartment. And you can see, I made also the fabric.
Wow, you made?
And the curtain. And if you go closer, you will see that there are some nudes in it.
Wow.
That comes from the collection.
This is huge work.
I mean, we prepared for 18 months, so it has been layered over time.
And so what does this garçonnière speak about?
About the personality of Hodler.
Which was? What do you imagine?
You can just discover among these bric-a-bracs. It's like a cabinet de curiosité.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine them as Vallotton, as Hodler, as two dandies of the turn of the century, where sexuality was very much fluid.
Ah.
And here you will discover in the end that they have only male figures present, beside the fetish of women's shoes.
Because he's famous for making kind of feuilleton about the death of his wife, Hodler, right?
It was not his wife, it was his
Partner?
mistress.
Ah, okay.
We're gonna see Gorel. But so in this room we have around 300 pieces from the collection.
It's fantastic. It's like being in a movie, no?
It's like being in an apartment. Normally this is a no room. So you have, normally the museum has the garde-robe here and the public toilet. But I was able to include the toilet and make it just an apartment. So that's where he sleeps.
Ah, wow. That's cool. But there's a lot of Japanese, Chinese things.
This comes all from the collection.
So the fluidity of his sexuality is something you discovered about him?
In general, turn of the century, the man about town was very fluid, yes.
I didn't know. It's fantastic. It's like being part of the story, right?
Yeah.
And there's some tarot here, tarots.
So he plays cards.
He wants to know his future.
Maybe he wants to know. I mean, it's all open for interpretation. I mean, you have him here with his friends.
Wow. So it deals with the entire collection, right?
What?
It deals with the entire collection.
Exactly.
And the next story.
And here we enter. For the first time, the museum has assembled all the landscape of Hodler of the Lake of Geneva, and I combine it with my glass horses. And you see the horses becomes a container of air and water as I cut the horse in half. That gives you the illusion of a horizon.
Ah, and that's the first time I see these horses. When did you begin to do them?
I did them 2 years ago. That's the second time I'm showing it. And they're all named after different seas of the world.
And so
Tasman Sea, Sea Hybrids, Labrador Sea, those are just common
And so
seas.
why is to I've chosen these animals, in small in fact, to express the sea.
Yes, not the seed. All three elements, all four elements. So glass is fired.
Yes.
The horse is a part of the earth, the water, and the air. So you have all four elements in one container.
Okay. But they're like horses for kids because they're small, right?
I made them in clay. So you see still my fingerprints, and then they were cast in glass. And a cast, it's full glass. A cast like this needs 6 months to cool down. And when you can open.
And where are they made?
They were made in China.
Ah, and what is a symbol of horses for you?
The symbol of horse is just, I did 3 groups of animals so far. I did birds as a representing of the air, I did fishes for the water, and horses for the earth.
And trees, famous trees.
I mean animals.
Yeah, no, but I'm thinking about the trees now.
We will not find any trees here, but we're going to find earth.
Well, this is a beautiful, meditative new landscape here. And what you like about Hodler landscape?
Those were among his latest work, the Geneva landscapes.
Yes.
He has a sentimental view, and to have them the first time together, it's quite a wonderful thing to see.
Yes, it's very meditative, right? No?
I mean art in general, right?
Yeah, but here it's very quiet and it really matches with the horses, I have to say, and with the line of horizon.
And as we now traverse 3 different rooms. So the first room was closing, as you had all those walls, and then it would open up in a very opulent apartment, and now we have a very minimal setting. And which is more, it's enjoyable and it's uplifting and light. And as we enter into a chapel, we will see a progression of how Hodler documented he documented the death of his girlfriend or mistress, Valentine Gaudy-Danel.
Yes, it's a very famous, striking series, right?
Yes.
It's also a way to escape from the fatality of death of the person in a way. Meaning, if you are drawing, you are not thinking.
Oh. Okay.
Even if you are drawing like a tribute to the person, it's a way to escape.
Yeah. He had Emmanuel Mann, and was his teacher, Hodler's teacher, and there is a group of him made by Huet, I think, both Geneva artists, where he drove Mann on his deathbed, and they were done 30 years before Hodler did his version, documenting the decline to death. And the 6 drawings of Mann, you can see it later, again, it's in Hodler's apartment above the bed.
Ah, that's interesting.
But those are details that you can really discover.
But also there's all this tradition in 19th century of the mortuary masks, you know, and also of the dead kids that they take photos of, like if they would be living, still living. So I think there's a tradition about the imagery of death, which is interesting, and which became a taboo in 20th century, death, I mean, the image of death.
Depending, I mean, we are still doing that mask, I believe. No?
You think? There's a famous mask and photos of Marcel Proust's death. You remember?
But everyone should make a mask of his lover if he's dying.
did you do?
I did, yeah.
Ah bon?
Oui.
Is it
So
here?
we have, no. Here we have, so we were here on the corner of the building, and this ends the the collaboration with the works of Hodler. Now we have a traverse, we have 4 buildings in a row, showing 3 landscape sculpture. I call those landscapes sculpture. They are made out of earth, and they are inspired by minimal sculpture. And I combine them with small sketch paintings on the wall, so you have this duality of big and small.
And from what date does this work?
Those are made for the space.
But it's new work,
It's
new kind
new-
of work?
Yeah, so they are called tangled landscape is the first one. The second it's twisted landscape. And again tangled, now they made a mistake.
Okay, but it's a
I
new
just saw.
series, right?
No, I started those in 2013.
Ah,
And over time I made maybe 15. Bonjour.
bonjour.
Je te vois à tête et en bas.
See you wherever you want.
Ok. Et là, il y a 2 fois le même titre. Tangled Landscape.
Ah ouais?
Ouais. Je dis maintenant.
And so you do it on purpose each time?
Okay.
It's very difficult to transport, no?
No, they had to be made here.
Okay.
There is no past the doors.
Yes.
As I made a big sculpture in a small room.
Uh-huh. It's about the invasion of the landscape, no? It's landscape inside.
It's called landscape. It's made out of earth.
Yeah, but about interpretation, it can be a lot of things.
Yes.
With first a reference to minimal art,
Yes.
American.
The container is minimal art existed everywhere. It's not just America.
What are your references in minimal art?
In this case, it's Tony Smith. And that's the last room of the north side. So you come into a space of clocks, together with a Rhodo sculpture showing Adam and Eve, and with 5 prints of the collection showing Adam and Eve, combined with time.
What's the symbol of the clocks?
What is it in you?
I'm curious of
To
your
combine-
interpretation.
I mean to combine Adam and Eve, right? Banned from the paradise and having the duality with time. So the paradise, as we know, was an eternal life, and once your times comes in, life gets timely.
And this is a
I mean, the configuration
print.
are really almost banal. So there is no real. What is important is just the visual effect.
And-
That you have
and the sound.
and you have a clock and Adam and Eve. I think it's a pairing which is just given,
it works. It match.
because once the legend goes, in paradise there is no time, as you have eternal life.
Is it Dürer? No. Yes.
That's a Dürer, yes.
Beautiful, huh? Wow. Magnificent. So did this exhibition change something about your vision or your love for objects?
I learned a lot because they opened all the doors to their collection, and I discovered many, especially if you're gonna get closer to the 2 apartments, the artists I chose from the collection, they were all new to me.
And are you now obsessed by something you were not obsessed before?
I'm generally not obsessed.
Lucky you. No, but
But it's amazing because it's only possible in such a circumstance I mean, if I would have done that with the Metropolitan, for example, it would have been an endless story. But here, within a small team, we were able to really discover many things in short time.
And
The vast time went into the apartments, in both apartments 600 objects, and then through the museum, as you have seen the configuration.
And you are very international, so this is very Swiss, right? In a way. So you come back to your roots.
I mean, I have to say that's true. I haven't shown in Switzerland since 12 years in the institution, so that's a good homecoming. And the last time I had a show in Geneva was at the Musée d'Art Contemporain. That was 96.
Wow.
Ici, c'est la salle de l'armoire.
So let's keep on in English, just going fast.
But we have to do that.
Yes.
So here we have the armor vitrine, which I put a filter on, so you have those armor like a ghost. I put black drapes as in a funeral home, and I combine still lifes and landscape of Vallotton with my nudes.
And what are your news about?
The nudes are, I done them in 2009. They are made of as you see, they have different brown colors. And the colors is achieved by mixing earth with wax, with clear wax. And the earth came from all 7 continents.
So it's symbol of what?
It's, when you describe an artwork, then you have the whole information in it. It's not by chance that it has earth. It's not by chance that they are a young dancer. It's not by chance they are just sitting there, passive.
But forever.
Passive. Not forever. I mean, they are not animated. They are still sculptures.
Right. But you use space here a lot, huh? Space is important.
Each space was different, right?
Yeah.
Opens, close, opens, close.
And in fact, the armors look like photos.
Yeah?
Yes, because you put the filter,
Yeah.
it's the image of the armor, the shadow of the armor.
No, normally the vitrine are white and very bright, so you see each object very, very clearly. I wanted to soften the tone and making almost a meditative space. And as we entered, we had the warriors, and here it's an answer on those warriors. And here we have the apartment of Vallotton.
Ah,
This is lover.
here's the lover.
In my version.
Yeah, because I remember this photo of the backside of a woman. You know this painting?
And maybe we see it here.
And it's crazily
Bonjour.
heterosexual oriented.
Here we have the nudes. Maybe it's here. You're painting.
Wow.
So the back you have the preparatory drawings, and if you look like this, you have all the nudes.
That's great. Yeah. He likes women, right?
I don't know. I think men about town in that time were very fluid with their sexuality.
Did you read about it?
I mean, you would know it from Des Essaims, from Euribur, which was the inspiration for those apartments, those opulent apartments.
Okay. But he was in Paris, Des Essaims, no?
Oui, et Vallotton aussi.
Huysmans, the writer. He was
Huysmans,
living in
yes.
Paris, in Saint-Germain, in fact. Very close to where I live.
Like Vallotton. They knew each other.
Ah, that's interesting. Okay. Merci, monsieur, again.
Merci.